Mind-boggling, unethical, surprising. It's not what you usually hear people say about Warren Buffett, but that's what our next guest is saying after Buffett's bombshell last night, the disclosure that David Sokol, one of Berkshire's top executives and perhaps Buffett's heir apparent, is leaving the company, and that he bought, sold, and then bought again shares of a company he recommended to Buffett and which Berkshire subsequently acquired, or is in the process of acquiring in any case. Jeff Matthews is a longtime Berkshire shareholder, founder of hedge fund Ram Partners, and the author of Pilgrimage to Warren Buffett's Omaha. Jeff, thanks for being here this morning. I can tell how you feel. What I'd like to know from you first is, do you believe Warren Buffett is being straight with you?
I think he's being fairly straight, but I think he's spinning it an awful lot in ways that surprise me.
People talk about Warren Buffett's homespun wisdom. When you talk about spin, this is not the spin you'd like to be getting right now.
You know, it kind of reminds you of the way an NCAA coach treats a violation or a recruiting violation. It's kind of, well, it's not illegal, so let's look beyond it. The issue really goes to the fact that Buffett has always said, lose money for the firm and I will understand. Lose one shred of our reputation and I will be ruthless. That is something he says at every annual meeting. And here, they've lost a big shred of the reputation, and he's not being ruthless.
Well, so I take it you believe him when he says that David Sokol is leaving of his own volition and not because Buffett said, oh my goodness, as soon as I found out about this, David Sokol, you can't work here anymore.
I believe, if that's what he says, I believe it, but I'm still shocked that Buffett is so sanguine about this. I think this is kind of what we've always called in the business front running.
What would you want to know more?
I'd like to know exactly what happened in this case. What led Sokol to think he could trade in stocks, in a stock that he was actually given exposure to as a result of looking for acquisitions for Berkshire Hathaway. This wasn't a stock he bought just coming down the street. This was a stock he got as a result of dealing with investment bankers as a representative for Berkshire Hathaway. That's number one.
Is that something that a Berkshire executive of David Sokol's standing should be doing? Spending $10 million on a share purchase for his own personal account? Is that what you expect from a Berkshire Hathaway executive as a shareholder?
It's unfathomable as a shareholder and also as a guy in the business. If an analyst did this to me, if one of my analysts did this to me, I'd fire him in a nanosecond.
So what exactly should Warren Buffett be doing at Berkshire right now? Getting some outside counsel? We didn't hear any evidence that Berkshire has retained outside counsel to do a thorough review, at the very least, of Sokol's transactions. What about every other senior insider at the company?
Well, I think where you start is you say, look, Sokol has done something that appears to be unethical on the surface of it. It may not be illegal, but it's certainly something we want to get to the bottom of. And the fact that he has been involved in several other Berkshire transactions, including BYD and also the original Mid-American Energy transaction, plus a number of other deals, we are going to ask outside counsel to look at every single transaction he's been involved in just to make sure that this isn't a pattern that we've missed. How
about banning trading in personal accounts beyond a certain level? Are these the kinds of things that you would have liked to see Warren Buffett say in last night's statement?
Well, it's already in the Berkshire Code of Ethics. You know, there's a Berkshire Code of Business Conduct and Ethics on the website, and it actually contains language in there that says directors and CEOs of Berkshire companies should not be involved in issues that might conflict with Berkshire Hathaway.
Does this die down? Do you think this, look, people have so much...
It's much worse.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
How so?
Well, I think Buffett's letter was actually very inadequate and very un-Buffett-like. It was kind of putting spin on something that I think demands a lot more serious consideration.
So what do the shareholders do on the one hand, and then we have to explore what does it mean for Warren Buffett's succession?
Well, what the shareholders do is they probably say, by and large, whatever Buffett says is okay with me, because that's what they've been saying for the last 50, 60 years, and it's worked out for Berkshire shareholders. And you can't really argue with that. But I do think there will be a more serious consideration of this. There has to be.
Do you want to see the SEC investigate and get to the very bottom of everything that needs to be known?
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going down that road.
To reassure you as a shareholder.
I'd like to see an outside counsel go through every transaction Sokol's been involved in. Yeah.
Now, how about the whole succession issue? David Sokol was held up as the probable heir to Warren Buffett as CEO, even if he divided the responsibilities between management and investment.
Right.
He's gone, so clearly he isn't going to succeed Warren Buffett. Who do you think is next in line?
Well, I thought it was fascinating in retrospect that last week in India, Buffett said, Ajit Jain could be the CEO tomorrow if I wasn't here. The board would approve Ajit Jain. And in retrospect, that's fascinating because at the time Buffett said it, it would appear that he had learned of Sokol's issue and resignation, possibility of resignation, or this issue with the Lubrizol deal. And so maybe it was already on Buffett's mind that Sokol was out of the picture, and he was kind of putting Ajit Jain out there as the logical guy. Ajit could do it. If Ajit stepped in tomorrow, I think Berkshire shareholders would say, fine.
Does it concern you at all that Sokol remained in such a senior position at Berkshire after he tried to resign twice? That's something else we found out yesterday.
Well, that's normal in the course of business. I think you'll find a lot of CEOs and executives. A lot of stuff happens behind closed doors that you don't hear about. And the fact that he tried to resign a couple times is not terribly shocking. It's a little surprising given that Buffett has been so high on him and that he seemed to have the world as his oyster as the potential heir to Buffett. But that doesn't shock me.
Jeff, that may not shock you, but certainly other things do. You've really encapsulated for us the feeling among Berkshire Hathaway shareholders this morning. Unfathomable, mind-boggling. Clearly, other words come to mind. Jeff, thanks very much for being here. Jeff Matthews, he runs Ram Partners, the hedge fund. He's a longtime Berkshire Hathaway shareholder, and he wrote the book, Warren Buffett's Pilgrimage to Warren Buffett's Omaha.